Okay, that's all I'm gonna play because I do not want to get copyright
Alright.
striked. Alright, hello, this is our semi-impromptu Bleach podcast.
The number
Yeah.
one, the number one Bleach podcast
The
on
num
the internet.
the number one and the only one. I
Yeah.
am a real human being. My claim to fame is the uh-oh stinky meme, but it's not very funny, so disregard that.
Yeah.
You can catch me also on Bad Filmcast occasionally. And that's enough shilling. Let's go on with the other hosts. Who wants to go next?
Okay. I'm Arda. My life's work is images you can hear. That's about it. You can find me at images you can hear, even though I barely post. And read Chainsaw Man. Yeah.
All right, they call me Clayton, or as I prefer to go by Sloppy Joe nowadays. You can catch me on Facebook making the absolute unfunniest jokes you'll ever see in your life.
And when he
My
says,
favorite,
I co-wrote most of them.
my favorite manga of all time is One Piece. You guys say yours.
my favorite manga of all time is One Piece as well.
It's good.
Or-
What about you, Eduardo?
Uh,
You have to say One Piece. That's like the bit
Gotta
we're
say
doing
One
right now.
yeah, it is One Piece probably.
so it's JoJo's direction.
Oh yeah, okay, Jojolian too. We should do a Jojolian podcast, or
Yeah, we
fuck,
should.
let's just do a Shonen Jump podcast.
Yeah, welcome guys back to the official Shonen Jump podcast. Today we'll be talking about Samurai 8 and why it sucks.
Yeah.
Speaking of Samurai 8s, this is Bleach from the creator of Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, I think.
That's
Uh,
it.
yeah, I actually, so funny story about like for real though, funny story about how I like was kind of exposed to Bleach. I never watched any of the episodes when they were on like Toonami or whatever. My first introduction was not until like 2011, and that was when I got my 3DS, and they had Netflix on there. And sometimes I would just like, when I'm taking a huge dump, I would just open up the Netflix app, and I saw Bleach, and I thought, oh, Grim Reapers, okay. But then it was like, it was the same thing that actually happened to me with when I was first introduced to One Piece, where I was like, wait, this isn't like traditional Grim Reapers. This sucks. It's the same thing that happened with One
It's just
Piece.
Japan.
Yeah, first time I ever tried to get into One Piece I was a dumb like 8-year-old kid. I was like, these aren't real pirates.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'll go next. So my experience with Bleach, when I was a kid, I didn't watch a lot of anime. I think the most anime experience I had was like on Jetix when they show like Toonami or like Nicktoons they show Dragon Ball. I was a little late to the Toonami crowd. I remember I originally got into Toonami when it originally shut down. So I remember the final episodes of the Cell games playing, but I would watch Bleach as well sometimes. I didn't know what was going on. I just remember Bleach's anime's pacing being absolutely terrible. It would mostly be standing around and doing flashbacks.
Well, that's every shonen anime.
That is every shonen anime. I thought the designs were cool and the action was cool, but I never fully got into it. So for the past few years, I have read two of the original Shonen Big Three. So I have read through One Piece. I have read through Naruto. I think One Piece is absolutely one of my favorite shonen manga of all time, if not the. And I think Naruto had potential for a while, and it was going really good. I just think it eventually dropped off. But Bleach is the one I never got into because I hear a lot of like controversy about Bleach, not because it was bad, but because of the drop in quality after some later arcs,
Yeah.
which we'll get to. I was really hesitant for a while until recently when Burn the Witch finally got an announcement and people were really hyping up like the return of Bleach. So I've been really interested to finally like sink my teeth into it and see what like Bleach has. And now that I've read 25 chapters, I can clearly see that this is actually something really special.
Yeah. I never really got into Bleach that much as a kid. Like I always like knew what it was. Obviously, it was kind of like on my radar when I was like, I guess, just getting into anime, just watching just cool shit. I saw like an episode of it on TV as a kid. It was the episode with Orihime's brother, which we'll get to. But saw that and I thought it was like really cool, and it really stuck with me. But I like never really watched anything past that. And yeah, it's nice just sitting down, getting into it because I love the character designs, the aesthetic.
Yeah, and I never thought I would give One Piece a chance, and then boom, I binged the entire thing, and it's like one of my absolute favorite things now. So I'm more open to giving things a chance. But
Yeah,
with Bleach, the problem was, yeah, same with Sloppy Joe. Like I heard so much controversy about like the Soul Society arc and what comes after it. But I mean, I'm sure if at least like everything up to that I can enjoy and like get something to take away from like that's positive, then yeah, I'm open to that. And
yeah,
yeah, it's 3 volumes, 25 chapters so far. I agree. This is something I'm definitely curious about, and a
yeah.
lot of good stuff in here. Some stuff I really liked that really surprised me, made it kind of
So
stand out from other shonen at the time. And it's interesting that at the time that we're recording this, Shonen Jump started a new series called Bone Collection, I believe.
I
Which,
yeah,
haven't read it yet.
yeah, I don't know if anyone else here has
which
read it, but like it
I read the
is
chapter. Yeah,
very similar, very,
yeah,
very similar to Bleach. And that's interesting with Burn the Witch coming
yeah.
back.
Uh, I mean, like, yeah, it's like I said, like we'll get to like when the quality like drops. Apparently, when we get to there, and we'll see how it is. And even like right now, it's not a masterpiece, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
It's
it's just
Yeah.
if
fun.
I can enjoy it,
Just
if I can
fun.
take something good away from it, then yeah,
Like,
that's
I think there's been a couple pacing issues. I think sometimes it can be a little slow, but I think for the most part, the messages that this like
mm,
has shown so far. I actually had this written down in my little notes. The first thing's actually I wanted to go over the theme of like what Bleach has been so far, and it would really just be the theme of loss, losing a loved one, losing someone you've loved, the risk you would take, you know, stuff like that.
I think
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I think Ichigo's introduction is just like perfect. It's so good where he is like protecting this little girl's like memorial from
Well,
getting desecrated,
yeah,
and he's just like, you need to apologize to her. Like
yeah,
it's
It's
just a,
different for a shonen protagonist, I guess. He's not really like typically a nice guy. He's a delinquent,
yeah.
and you know,
But he's
delinquents
like
are
also
big
not
for
like but he's also not like the super delinquent side.
yeah. He's got a heart of
He's not like Yusuke or anything. Like he has like an attitude, but he's a nice guy.
gold.
yeah, and we go more into that in volume 3 about like why he kind of acts that way. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
yeah, stick to volume 1
So
right
we're
now.
introduced first after Ichigo to Rukia, who is basically the secondary protagonist, and who I find another character who gets a lot of really good characterization in his first 3 like volumes, especially during that third volume when she finally realizes that like it's not all. It's I think An, another character we'll get to, tells us it's all work. No, she's all work, no play, and I really think that becomes really interesting.
yeah. I love the chemistry that she has with Ichigo.
Yeah,
That's the classic odd couple, you know? The
Yeah, and
the no nonsense versus like the slacky. It's fun
yeah,
stuff. Actually, I never really saw this character until I started working at this job last year, and my like assistant teacher, he actually had like a figure of her on her at his desk, which I thought
yo,
was funny.
in a jar.
Oh no.
No, no. Can we get an AIDS check on her real fast? I know she's a
Uh,
Shinigami, but
didn't she
Oh,
say she was like?
hundreds. She's hundreds.
yeah.
She
All
said
right
she was
then.
like she was like
Yeah.
like 5 times Ichigo's age.
Actually, that's another thing I really like about her character is she has a lot of bit of what's it called? Not culture shock, but like she's so out of touch with
She's a fish
everything.
out
She
of water.
can't.
Fish out of water.
Yeah, she doesn't even know how to
Yeah.
put a straw into a juice box.
Yeah.
That's
There was the like the bit where like she's just like reading like a manga, and then like on the next chapter, the like the first page is like a little note thing like this is like the manga she's reading, whatever. I actually looked it up. It's not a real manga. It's just something he made up. But I like the idea that like her only exposure to like the human world is like reading a weird like horror manga about like. Well, let me find the
Yeah, like imagine if that happened to us with
let me
like
find the
One
let me
Piece,
find the
that our
synopsis for
only
it, man.
exposure to the human race was through One Piece.
I also really like how she starts explaining stuff. She has her weird little like shitty art style. I think it's
Yeah.
adorable at the same time, but I think
Okay. Yeah, the manga she's reading is called The Jade Hermitage, and it's about a soft masochist older sister and her gay younger sister doing all sorts of inappropriate things over a jade box given to them by their mother, who was a 52-year-old wrestler.
That sounds like a
Kubo the
Suda
Madman.
51 story or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Welcome back to the Sudi 51 podcast.
Ooh,
Sure.
Suda 51 podcast, like that would be very
That's gonna be-
confusing.
Yeah, 5 episodes, just really confusing. That's it, no more. I guess getting more into it. I guess we'll go ahead and get one thing. I think the name Bleach.
Yeah, what's
Kubo.
the deal with that?
So let me pull this up real quick. You guys discuss something while I look this up.
Okay, so is we need to talk about the Shinigami, compare it to Death Notes, because that's the only other time I ever heard Shinigami, and they're very different roles,
I
obviously.
guess it's also in like Soul Eater, and it's different.
Oh yeah, I forgot Soul Eater too. Yeah.
I think the way I like to like I guess think about it is like the different translations. Like for Soul Eater, they just call the Shinigami, they just call him Death. Just call him like Lord
Yeah.
Death. For Death Note, they say Shinigami. For this one, I guess you would call it like Soul Reaper.
Yeah, it's more of a Reaper, I'd say. Yeah.
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 And there's a lot of influence from Yu Yu Hakusho in this manga as well.
Oh,
I've noticed.
absolutely. Yeah.
We were discussing that. I think the biggest thing I think Bleach does way better than Yu Yu Hakusho is the Spirit Detective compared to a Shin Megami. Now, in Yu Yu Hakusho, the Spirit Detective seems more like a title. It is considered a job for people, but we don't actually see like how it works. It gets ditched after like 3 arcs or whatever.
Yusuke does it like 3 times, and then he has to like.
He has to go fight Toguro or whatever.
No, he has to like go find like the other characters and shit. He has to go find like Hiei and Kuruma.
And then I think the difference is Soul Society has its own like it's got its own like rank, it's got its own establishment, there's black markets selling like gear to Shimigami.
I really like the guy with like that bucket hat.
Oh, I have it written down.
Samurai
Kisuke.
Yeah.
He is. I hear he's going to get a lot more action later, and I'm really excited because he seems like one of the coolest characters by far.
I like his little operation he has going.
Yeah,
on.
I love the little kids he has. Yeah, the little kids. Haha.
It's like really flashed out and like it feels like a real world, but like I feel like some of the things
It feels like a shitty little building that like people actually work in and just trying to get by.
some of the details just get like really shoehorned in though. Like there's the bit when like she's at the store and she's trying to buy the like the little Pez dispensers with bounties, and they just like casually like just drop on you the fact that, oh, these guys have names and they have bounties, and it's like, oh, why didn't you tell us this beforehand? That one
thing I don't know if they explained is okay, so there's a demon. Let's say it has a name like what was the last one they fight name?
Grand Fisher.
Grand Fisher. So is Grand Fisher the only Grand Fisher, or are there multiple types being Grand Fisher? Are Hollows unique, or are they all different? That's one answer. I don't think they've answered.
The biggest question I had from that arc was literally just, how the fuck did he put the kid's soul in a parakeet? How did he do that?
He just grabbed that shit and shoved it in.
We'll get to that.
Anyways, I have the Bleach thing pulled up. So this is the production from Wikipedia. Bleach was first conceived from Kubo's desire to draw Shin Megami in a kimono, which formed the basis for the design of the Soul Reapers in the series. At first, he wanted to give them guns, which is the title. The original title for Bleach was called Snipe. However, this was changed with the inclusion of swords. After that, the series was meant to be named Black due to the color of the Soul Reapers' clothes. But Kubo thought this was a little too generic, so he later tried the name White. Yeah, so he later tried the name White, but came to like Bleach more for its association with the color white, and he did not find it too obvious.
Yeah.
So the idea, if someone ever tells you, oh, Bleach gets its idea because it's to bleach someone's soul or cleanse someone's soul, you're wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's like another aspect to it too. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but like I guess another meaning to the name Bleach could be how like we'll see it later, but like the more Ichigo like powers up, like the more white his outfit like color scheme gets.
Yeah, I know something to do with Hollow shit. I don't really know.
I don't know anything about that, but like obviously I've seen it. I've been on like I've seen like third worlder weeaboos with like Hollow Ichigo as their profile picture.
Well, that's actually something that the later series go into Burn the Witch, that we know that Soul Society is different depending on what culture you live in.
Yeah.
That's one of the more interesting things come out of it.
I think the West is like bad bitches.
So I guess let's go over the first chapter. You know, the first real shot of Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
It's a 50-page chapter. I thought it was really good. I think it clearly satisfies. It's satisfying. It's pretty much introduces all the characters right. We get a good fight out of it, and yeah.
I thought it was interesting, like Ichigo's family, that they kind of were
very slapstick.
Yeah, and it was just like, is usually okay. So I was kind of comparing this at first to The Sixth Sense, just like one of my all-time favorite movies. But the whole thing that makes this very different, though, is Sixth Sense. You know, the main character, Haley Joel Osment, he has this power, and it's like he kind of keeps it a secret because he's afraid of people not really understanding him. But with the family, it's like seems like they all are really in the know.
It seems that he keeps it away from other people except his family. One thing I want to go over real quick. I remember reading in the notes, Ichigo's dad, who is a surgeon. Actually, his original idea was he was going to be a mortician, which is why he wears black and stuff, and not actually or white. So,
yeah, that was in the notes at the end of a volume, I think, and they also say that Ishin, his dad's theme song is "Don't Drag Me Down, My Social Distortion."
Yeah,
which is just
I love that every character has their own little theme song.
That's
we were
just
talking
so
about
funny.
this before recording, but Ichigo's dad is literally just the dad from Fooly Cooly.
Yeah, he even
the same
looks
amount of,
pretty similar.
He beats the shit out of his own child. He's actually a really kind of bad dad, just beating the shit out of his fucking child, and then his daughters beat the ever living shit out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very crazy.
And like you were mentioning earlier, what do you call it? Like usually in these stories, when the character has these sort of supernatural abilities, they just kind of keep it to themselves or whatever. But in this one, everyone in his family and I feel like a lot of people in his school whatever know about it, but
or at least kind
they
of
just
picked
kinda
up on
don't
it.
care. Yeah, they just don't care. They're like, yeah, whatever, you can see ghosts, whatever. I don't care. The tough shit, whatever.
So obviously, spirit energy is just the key of this universe. That's Ichigo has a shit ton of it.
It seems like his siblings can also pick up to a degree.
Yeah, Karen, the black-haired one,
one.
she has some, but the other shot kid, I don't remember her name. She doesn't have anything. She doesn't have anything. So, I guess let's go over side characters now. We'll start with the best one, Chad.
Yeah, Chad.
Yeah.
His character
Chad is actually
Chad.
such a badass. I actually he's very quiet, but he's very stoic in his nature.
I love Chad.
Yeah. I just love the fact that his name's Chad.
I like how so far, aside from the whole Soul Reapers and whatever, it is kind of grounded in reality. Everyone else is just normal everyday people.
Yeah. I think one of the best fights in the series was Chad Ruka.
But Chad's introduction, he just tanks a steel beam falling on his back.
Yeah, he's
and
like,
shows up the next day. He's like, yeah, I'm fine.
Gets in a car crash, walks it off for the most part.
Yeah.
That's funny because he's supposed to be 16 also.
Yeah, these characters are really young, especially for Shonen Jump protagonists.
In one of the volumes, it said maybe I just read the handwriting wrong or whatever, but it said he was 197 centimeters. He's almost 2 meters tall.
Yeah, that's almost 6'6", I think.
Yeah.
But I think he had a really good fight with Rukia because he basically the rules of being a fight of a hollow is only people with high spiritual awareness and Shimigami can see a hollow.
Can see them, but everyone can feel them.
Yeah, and Chad does not have that awareness.
I wish they did that fight for a bit more because I love the concept of her going okay, aim there, no there, and then him having to do the fighting.
Yeah, so he's fighting blindly, but when he punches this thing, this hollow, who's probably a few 100 pounds, goes flying.
Yeah, that was a really cool arc. I was a bit confused just from how
I think the emotional bits of the parakeet, were very strong, and I think the ending. I'll let Arda say something about this.
I think honestly, like the highlight of like these 3 volumes for me was the last thing like Chad said to the bird, which was like, "When I die and go over there, is it all right if I carry you around one more time?" And he says, "Sure." I love that scene.
Yeah, it's just
Very
yeah.
happy we have lost.
Volume 2 gets into some really like dark territory with the story of the parakeet.
And like even the brother,
Mm-hmm.
like Orihime's brother. Yeah, we should talk about Orihime.
Yeah,
Bad.
that was
Bad.
the first real. That was the first real, I guess, arc of Bleach, where Orihime basically brother died a few years ago, a few years before the events of the manga, and is basically pissed at her for moving on with her life. She didn't really want to worry. Like she wanted to be happy, and he was a bad brother because he was being selfish. The fact that he wasn't getting as much attention, even though in her own way she was still loving him and remembering him every day.
Orihime is interesting. She's obviously she's like kind of like the poster girl bimbo.
She's also a
yeah.
Let's just get that out of the way.
She's really fucking stupid, and
she doesn't know how to cook. She goes too far for some jokes. I remember.
Oh yeah. Okay, so there's a part where she's with her friend, best girl, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I got evicted." And her friend's like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "Yeah, I have to sleep in this sleeping bag outside."
Don't worry, it's like double something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
she's like, "Really?" And she's like, "No, I'm staying in a hotel." It's like, so you just carry around the sleeping bag like as a joke? And she's like, "Yeah, but I guess
I've been doing it for a week now. It's like, I've been doing it for a week now. I was starting to think the joke wouldn't be worth it.
I think my favorite gag out of all of them was just like she was talking to Ichigo and Rukia, and they were asking like, "Hey, what happened to you?" And she just said, "Oh, I just got hit by a car."
Yeah.
They're like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah, it happens sometimes."
Let's get the elephant out of the room. The leak spin, the classic leak spin, 2000 I don't know 6 tier meme.
I got really happy when I saw that panel. It was a good joke too.
I think she's absolutely an adorable character. I like her character a lot. I think she's an idiot, but I smile when she's like being cute, and I think she really.
I think like the context of her stupidity is really strong because like like you said, her brother's mad at her for not like traditionally grieving, but obviously she just kind of like thinks differently from everyone else.
Yeah.
Honestly, she's not really stupid. She just likes being.
Airhead.
Yeah, she's a bit of an airhead, and I think she's charming in her own way. I have a friend who hates Orihime, but I feel like they missed the point of her character.
Well, we still have a lot more to see of these characters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have 620 something chapters left.
Oh my god. The whole fight with her brother. I thought like that was the episode I saw as a kid. Like it left an impact on me, but I never really knew the context or anything about it.
I feel like her brother leaves off. Goes to something a lot of people relate to about death. A lot of people, when someone dies, they never usually get to say their final goodbye, just like Orihime did. I actually never got to say final goodbye to my own grandmother because she passed away of cancer, and I was so scared to see her that I never got to say bye. And I can kind of relate to her in a sense where I regret not actually saying bye because for her reason it was selfish. She was mad at him just for some
argument.
Yeah. And
I never lost a family, but like I've had that with friends where I just never want to like say bye or like thank anyone.
You never know when someone's gonna, leave. And this brings it back around. Just theme of loss in these early Bleach arcs is very touching and relatable. And I think Bleach really hit some ground that a lot of like other shonen like manga can't.
Yeah, and then it's interesting because one of the other like major arcs in this reading is with the mod Kon. So Kon's interesting because it's like all these arcs are about like people kind of losing something or losing someone close to them, but Kon kind of doesn't really have anything,
I think Kon's arc is the fact that he doesn't want to lose anything. Like everyone else has already lost something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because for those that don't know, Kon's whole thing is he's a mod, which is like a super interesting concept.
He's I think
one of my favorite things is the fact that he's both a joke character, but at the same time, he's very like aware of like everything going on. Unlike most joke characters I feel in other shonen manga, He's very like emotional. He's very stoic at times, but at the same time, he is very,
Well, he
very
also
Just like me.
he also has a purpose because obviously Ichigo needs to have like this alibi, and what a coincidence. Colin can come possess his body so that he can
Mhm.
seemingly act out a normal life while he's out, reaping souls.
Yeah.
Which is like so he accomplishes a lot of things at once.
I also
He
feel like
That's
there
a
can be
cool
a lot of
idea.
there's a lot of comedy that can come out of it too, because he's not aware of Ichigo's life, so I feel
Mhm.
like later on in the series there can be some small consequences to the fact that he might get
Yeah.
some stuff wrong.
well, I
I
remember
love
like
like
he
how
was
like how much of a Chad Ichigo became when Colin was in his
yeah.
body.
Yeah, and it was funny when like Con was saying like how hard it was to try to like not smile all the time, like
Oh
in the
yeah, it
show.
hurt. It actually hurt his mouth
And then he
because he was
was
frowning so
he was
much.
begging for Ichigo to get help so that he doesn't die, because then he's like, they don't have to be
You
stuck
know,
with
this
this
family.
noisy family.
I don't. I love that. I want to say some side characters I didn't care for are a lot of the Ichigo's like normal friends. I don't remember their names, and I feel like they're just there for comic relief. Which,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see it there. Just Ichigo has a normal life, but I don't know if these characters are actually going to do anything later on.
I don't
And
remember them being in like volume 3 like at all.
yeah, they were
So
like there for the early just classmates.
Yeah. They
I know.
just kind of like they were in volume 3 only to say like tell the viewer that like, oh yeah, Ichigo's
There's normal.
mom died.
Yeah, I feel like Tatsuki is a character. I'm pretty sure she's going to stick around for the rest of the series.
Tatsuki is already best girl because she's trad tomboy.
Based, dude. I'm not gonna lie. If she was out of the manga, I think Tatsuki's best girl too. I think Rukia might be my favorite girl.
I honestly like Orihime.
Wow,
I
okay,
f-
so
Like,
we're all over the
yeah.
spectrum here.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone want to give arguments for why they prefer their girl?
Rukia is a small,
Big.
annoying gremlin.
Orihime has big fucking honkers. Like
Big
giant
fat,
milkers.
big fat fucking ovulating milkers.
That's
Yeah.
pretty fair, but like I said, Tatsuki is like trad tomboy,
Love
national.
the I
So
love and she's strong too. Everyone fears her. I love
oh
the
yeah,
skit.
yeah.
She destroys the room, and the principal walks in. And is like, "What's
beats the
going
shit out of
on in
Ichigo.
here?" It's like, "Wait, that's a devil."
I love like Tatsuki brags about like when she beat Ichigo as a kid, and then he was still
Beat the
like
shit out of
smiling,
Ichigo.
and that just
Yeah.
made her mad to see like the loser smiling. Good
I
stuff.
guess I think that entire arc about Ichigo's mom. I guess we
Oh
can go into
yeah.
this now. Volume 3 is entirely one like arc. It is basically the anniversary date of Ichigo's mother's death, and it goes into how she died, who possibly killed her. Ichigo blaming himself, just for being like the cause of why she died, and it's very touching. I think it is easily so powerful, like moments.
Oh yeah,
Just
that arc really threw me off guard. As it started, I was kind of like worried that it was blowing its load too early, but the way that it ends, absolutely not. There's still a lot more to come.
I do think the action in the fight. I think the fight dragged on maybe a chapter too long. I thought it was a really good fight, though. I'm really excited to see like how these fights are going to evolve, because I know like characters are going to start flying around, swinging swords and shit later. And right now we're still like in the hollow territory.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, on the topic of the fight possibly dragging on, it's just like I think like the fake out of him actually having two bodies that just kind of like leaves you feeling like, oh, is this gonna go on longer? And then he just kind of like fucks off right after that.
yeah, and
With
then it's like cliffhanger, like, oh, I got stronger, I got a new
and
form or whatever.
he like reports back to like this other
Hollows.
yeah. So
I don't know
that
what they were doing with him, like surgery or something on him. They were ripping his mask off. I don't know.
yeah, it was just an interesting spot to end because that's the end of the volume and we see
Yeah,
more of these
normally
things.
normally like these early shonen arcs, they're usually very fight guy beat him next, and then they do that for a little while until they get to like a massive story bit. I feel like doing this early on really sets up Bleach to be a little different from like a typical shonen manga from the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was just when you actually get to see Ichigo's backstory, I mean, it kind of reminds me of like a One Piece backstory. Where, like One Piece, I think does backstories the best. But the interesting thing about Bleach is with One Piece, usually the backstories are very separate. Well, not all the time, but they're usually like separated from like what's happening, you know? And so like with Bleach though, it's like we kind of keep cutting like back and forth between the backstory and like what's happening now, because
Yeah, we won't get
obviously
the whole
it's all
thing.
connected.
Yeah. I think how One Piece does it is they will show you the entire backstory at once. So it will take a couple chapters. But Bleach, what it does is it kind of segments itself from. Actually, that's another thing about Bleach. It really segments itself. It's like there'll be a moment of fighting, then it will cut over to some characters doing something else, then it will cut to a flashback, and then it might cut back to the fight. That's really like.
Yeah, it was a little
Both the
hard
story
to
ending.
follow at times, just because I was so used to One Piece being like here's this action, here's this action,
Yeah.
and I mean
Um,
Bleach is obviously like just starting out, so it
yeah.
has to kind of establish a lot of things. So I'd imagine this is something that would get like smoother as the series went on.
I don't know. Is this Kubo's first actual like series he did?
No, before Bleach, he did like a 4 volume series called like Zombie Powder.
Yeah. This is on the Shonen Jump app as well.
Yeah,
Oh, it
the
is?
Shonen Jump.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
seen it. It's 4 volumes.
Speaking of like his other work, so Burn the Witch is a sequel that's in the West. So when you say the West, do you mean like Europe, America?
it's in
Yeah.
England, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oi,
interesting.
oi, that's a little right fine hollow is in it, or something like that. Actually, what Kubo's been up to recently is he recently did the character designs for the new Sakura Wars game that just
Really?
came out. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
game looks. I won't go too off topic. I just want to say the game looks really interesting, and I really want to check it out for that.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it just came out, and it looks really good.
Hmm.
It takes a lot of Persona influence, which
Okay.
seems interesting.
Okay, I don't think they like ever downright said it, but like it's obvious that the Hollow in the first chapter was Ichigo's mom, huh?
Which one?
The Hollow in the first chapter, like that's obviously supposed to be Ichigo's mom, right?
The
Well,
one?
no, because
No.
she was eaten. I believe her spirit was
Yeah.
eaten.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Oh,
what happens
oh.
is when Ishin is talking to Ichigo at the grave, and it's a really great scene because Ishin is like, "Oh, I
That's
hope."
what I love that scene. Yeah.
He says something like, "Oh, I hope like she's happy watching us," and then Ichigo just has to stomach the fact that he knows that her soul was eaten. So
I
that's
really
like
think
not
it's interesting
possible.
because she's not. I think she may be like gone from the afterworld. She may be gone, but I think she still lives on in like people's memories, just like how death to us, people are always still with us.
Well, it's like what they say in One Piece: a man dies when he's forgotten.
Yeah. Like the reason why I said that is because like they said that Hollows like attack their family members. So
Mm.
that's what like got me thinking like is that like supposed to be Ichigo's mom or like
No, I don't think
you
so.
know?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it is explained later that that wasn't Ichigo's mom, basically because of that. I mean, you could have taken it that way at the beginning, because obviously with like Orihime's brother, these people can be hollows for years and
Yeah.
not do anything. I want to talk about the art style a little bit and how unique Kubo's just
Drip.
yeah
Yeah,
actual
I
like
was about to say the drip. Yeah.
these late '90s, early 2000s kind of Japanese punk, a little bit of Western inspired, little jet.
I was gonna say, I think specifically they're like Yankee punks. You know, like the ones that try to be a little more Western looking.
Yeah, and I absolutely love it. I think I cannot think of a single like manga that actually like where characters just have this much drip.
One Piece.
Soul Eater.
Yeah, Soul Eater. I can see Soul Eater actually.
Soul Eater, really, they're all just wearing like school uniforms.
I think
I'll
characters
send you
like
some like, photos.
what was his name? The Scythe
Photos
guy.
of the-
I think the Scythe guy, Black Star. I think some of them look like it.
No, Black
That'd
Star
be,
has like
Yeah.
I think he has like commas.
that'd be actually really fun.
Yeah.
A discussion on like Soul Eater's manga.
I actually really like Soul Eater.
I hate the anime.
Oh yeah, the
I think
anime's terrible. Yeah. Well, it starts out pretty
It's good.
good, and then
good till
the
the
ending happens.
it's good till the ending.
Well,
Yeah.
we're not doing an entire
Oh.
podcast for every Shonen Jump series.
No. I mean, we could. I mean, since we've
Oh.
basically gone over our Bleach stuff, you guys want to talk about anything else?
Uh,
the series.
Another scene I really liked was like the scene where Ichigo like agrees to become a Soul Reaper. I like that scene a lot, where he just tells Yukio like, I don't have a reason to do this, but I also don't have a reason not to because I owe you one.
Yeah,
Which I mean,
I
like,
think
And also the fact that he just wants to help people.
yeah, I was gonna say later on it kind of like gets solidified in that he wants to become strong enough to help the people close to him because, with his mother, he still kind of blames himself for her death. And
Yeah.
if he was able to fight off these demons, these hollows, then that wouldn't be an issue anymore.
Yeah,
part
I'm
was
just gonna,
a little kid on the playground about to be attacked by the hollow. And Rukia's like, "Okay, you gonna help this kid or not?" And Ichigo's original idea was like, "Fuck no, I'm not helping anyone."
yeah, and like
I think
I guess the only thing like left on my notes that I haven't like mentioned is like honestly like these few arcs that we read, uh they honestly feel like reading like Diamond is Unbreakable for the first time again. It gives me like the similar like weird shit going on like
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
in, like a small town
small
vibe.
town, but there's like a little supernatural stuff going on.
like
Yeah.
this, like little these characters feel like a little crew of like actual friends. Because we see these guys hanging out, we see these guys doing
Yeah.
stuff.
We do, but we also we don't really get to see like we just kind of like infer that they are all like friends and this is like something
Yeah.
that they do.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't get to actually see a
We're still
lot of
early
that
on.
action. No,
Yeah,
I say that as like a good thing. It feels more like lived in.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really think it's
Also
a
we don't really know we don't really like know any adults aside from like Ichigo's family. Like it only just takes place in like the high school, you know?
I'm really interested to see where
We
that
only know like
goes.
some of the kids and that's about it.
Without saying anything, I'm not going to say anything about what's coming up. I know I've read originally up to maybe the 40th chapter of Bleach. I can barely remember. I can think of like one arc coming up next, and after that, like I'm completely blind on what's coming up. I think
Yeah.
you guys might like this next arc if it's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
it's a goofier arc. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I feel like a goofier arc
Yeah.
is something we kind of need after these
Yeah.
last two arcs.
I
Yeah.
think it's like some tonal whiplash. I don't want like tonal whiplash or something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
No,
okay,
it's
so
needed. Like
yeah, it's like
Yeah. I don't want like. Okay, here's what I don't want. I don't want the end of this chapter being like, "Oh God, we lost. Oh God, oh fuck," and the next chapter being like,
yeah.
"Let's go do some stupid shit."
Yeah. Well, yeah, but like you need some contrast, like how
Yeah.
My Hero had like the whole thing with overhaul, and then after that it was like those like
Festival,
dipshits like
Yeah,
gentle
the actual assholes and trying to just prank a festival. That's actually an arc in my hero.
I always think about One Piece. The Summit War is like one of the biggest, most emotional arcs in like all of manga history, and you follow up with like Fishman Island, which like I mean, even though I don't really like Fishman Island that much, I still think it was like a really important arc to do because it's kind of like a soft
Yeah.
reset for the series.
It feels like the beginning
It
again.
is.
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly. Because like when you raise the stakes that high, you gotta kind of reset again. That way
Yeah.
you can build up to that point instead of just constantly trying to one up yourself.
Yeah.
Because
And, like,
that's like what like the
Fishman-
MCU tries to do, and it fails.
Yeah. And the like Fishman Island like had its own share of like high stakes and like emotional and
Well, I like a lot of the ideas of
whatever, but,
Fish
like,
Island. I mean, the
yeah.
flashbacks in it with
With like
Yeah,
Jinbei.
Jinbei and Tigerfish, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
great. And
Very
then
cool.
The third was what? Hody? What was his name?
Horty Jones.
Horty.
Jones.
I thought he was actually really cool. I just think the way he got defeated was some absolute like.
Yeah, I wasn't really interested in Horty Jones. I was more interested in kind of like what he represented. Because like
Yeah.
it's like if Arlong was like Osama bin Laden, then Horty Jones is like ISIS.
Yeah.
He takes
Yeah.
like this like mentality of this guy that he like looks up to, but like warps it and makes it like far deadlier. And but at the same time, even though he's more powerful than Arlong, he's also a lot more unstable,
Yeah.
which then
Yeah.
kind of leads into his destruction.
Yeah, with
But-
the drug addiction and all that.
Yeah,
too.
which is like really bizarre for a shonen
Yeah,
villain.
The fact that they beat him by the fact that it wasn't just Luffy using his little strength. It was like just also drug. He just kind of overdosed, and then that also. was like a thing to do with it. That was such a weird like fight. Actually, I was discussing with Arda the other day. I don't know if you've realized this. The first half of One Piece is basically Luffy fighting with just strength, and the second half is him actually fighting with hockey and skills he's learned.
Yeah, because he spends 2 years developing that.
Yeah. Really interesting. I was just thinking about this the other day. I never realized, when Shanks scares off the Sea King, I didn't realize he was using hockey. Hockey's been in One Piece. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but there's also the argument of like, why didn't Shanks use like hockey to protect his arm from getting cut off?
I think he just did that just so he could
It looked cool,
teach
bro.
Luffy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was a show that he was so strong he didn't even need like both of his
Yeah,
arms.
that's true, I guess.
We still don't know how. The thing is, we
he was
still
tired
don't
of-
know how strong
Yeah,
Shanks
that's
is.
the thing. We've never seen him in a fight.
Like he has all
He was
these.
tired of Mihawk chasing him down every time.
Yeah.
He needed an excuse to not fight Mihawk anymore.
In all these games, when Shanks is playable, it's always like this made-up moveset of him just using a sword. But we don't know if he has a fruit. We don't know if he. Well, no, he doesn't have a fruit. At least at the beginning, because he's in the water and he's fine.
Yeah.
So
I
we don't
think he would
know
have a fruit.
that much.
It
Yeah.
seems like
It
all
also-
the really strong people don't need devil fruits. I mean, as far as we know, Gold Roger didn't have one.
Yeah, that's the one thing I want to see. I'm kind of hoping for the anime, the fight between Whitebeard and Gold Roger. I don't know if they're going to extend it or if they're still going to keep it very like short and to the point. Because if he does have a devil fruit, I don't think Oda's going to want them showing that shit off yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think making that fight short was a deliberate reason for Oda, because he doesn't. I don't think he wants to really reveal whether or not Roger had a devil fruit yet.
Yeah.
Because there's still a lot of, even though that flashback exposed a lot of Roger's character, it still left him very mysterious, which I thought was perfect.
Yeah, it's actually the first time we really get to see like Roger's
Outside
personality.
of his like death, yeah.
Yeah, because the little bit we saw was like him first meeting up with Rayleigh or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's kind of. We actually got to see him as a person, and he's a lot like Luffy. You can see like Rayleigh said that Luffy reminded him a lot of Gold Roger, and now we can actually like see that, and I'm really excited to see where that's gonna go.
So guys, thank you for tuning in to our One Piece podcast.
Yeah.
Naruto, no. We can talk about how Kishimoto's.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be very long though.
Are we just gonna, like-
Shonen Jump podcast? Dude.
Honestly, I'm down.
New chapter every
Sunday.
yeah, we could do it every Sunday. Do like all the chapters that we've read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of
Probably
like,
do it.
because like as much as I would love to do a One Piece podcast, it's just like we only get one chapter a week, and I don't think that's enough. You know?
Yeah, it's gonna be getting delayed too with what's
we
going.
could probably we could probably do those like every other week just so there's more content. Also, what do you call it?
Yeah, because okay, so we
family.
can do like catch ups, like stuff such as Bleach, series
Yeah.
that are already
Yeah.
finished, and
Or just
then,
stuff we're reading at the moment.
and then
you
the
know.
next week we do the ones that more chapters.
Oh, like 1 week Bleach, the other week like Shonen Jump.
Stone baby.
Dr. Stone, yeah, a lot of exciting things going on in Shonen Jump right now.
Right. A shout out to everyone. Read Chainsaw Man. Read Mashal.
Yes.
We
Undead Unluck.
we are going
Read
to
it.
talk a lot about Chainsaw Man and
No, actually.
Still need
Yeah,
to shut up.
Mashal's actually like really surprised me, honestly. It
I think
looked
it's-
so bad at first. It just
Actual,
looks like
like-
a rip off of like One Punch Man.
Biggest glow up of like
Of
the.
everything.
It's been a genuine treat, and I love how it's just constantly ripping on Harry Potter.
I know. I love its art. Honestly, I think the first chapter was very rough art, but I feel like now that the series is going on, I feel like art style is starting to actually develop out of this.
Yeah.
I think the moment Mashal got my attention is I think chapter 5 or 6 when we meet the headmaster and see his strongest spell.
Yes, that was
That's
so
great.
cool.
Chapter
That is
2.
the moment Mashal like hooked me.
Yeah.
Like this guy can draw. This guy can actually draw.
Yeah.
And his honestly, I think his actions so well, like like all the choreography, like it's so easy to follow. It flows so well. I think it reminds me a lot of Murata, like in his One Punch Man art.
I know you keep making that comparison.
I know it, and you see it. You see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Demon
Been
Slayer's
there.
ending really soon, isn't it?
Yeah, this week. I think it's this
shit.
week.
Okay.
It's
I will
I
try
don't
to
think
catch up.
it's not this week. It's the week after.
Okay.
Okay, I will definitely catch up by then.
I
I'm
know.
on chapter 140 right now, so I'm pretty
I think
close.
they're really close to officially having every chapter of Demon Slayer on the Shonen Jump app. I think they're only
Oh,
missing.
I'm past that. I don't.
Yeah, yeah. They're only missing one volume now. So
What's the deal with that? Because Act Age is really bad. Like it has like the first like 5 or 10 chapters, and then it goes straight to like 100.
yeah, I don't. Some other series has that. I think. Let me pull it up. I think not Seraph. What was it? The one with like the red, like the red looking one. That one's also like catching up. It's another weekly. Hold on, I have it pulled up right here.
Like Jujutsu Kaisen or something like that.
That's One Star Exorcist. That one's
Oh yeah, yeah.
also catching up. Also, read Spy X Family, even though I haven't read it yet. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Spy X
Yeah,
Family.
that's
very
why. That's
cute.
why I said. Yeah, that's why I said we should like do the Shonen Jump thing every other week. So
Oh
we
yeah,
can
because
talk
then
about
there'll be a new
Spy
Spy
Family
X
too.
Family. That's like
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause
Have you
Spy X
guys
Family
read
is bi-weekly.
Have you guys read Mori
Yeah.
King yet?
I
Yeah.
didn't.
All right.
I read both
Um,
collection.
I looked.
Mm.
I've been skimming over Mori King because I'm waiting for it to go longer before reading it.
Uh,
So the idea of Mori King is
It's like insects, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the idea
Yeah,
is these kids basically have this little larva for a what was it? What kind of beetle was it?
Pet. I don't know. Like
Stag. It was like a stag
yeah,
beetle.
I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, no,
So they raise him, and he becomes like this man beetle, and he's basically the king of the insects. I think what they're doing is they're going to set up, like human insect battles. So like, oh, this is
Oh,
like
so like
the kind of-
Terraform Mars.
yeah. What was that?
Yeah.
What was that thing we watched, Arda? The Hell Teacher.
Ultimate Teacher.
Did you watch Ultimate Teacher, Eric?
didn't,
Have you ever
no.
seen? So the idea of
um,
Ultimate Teacher is the main antagonist is basically a cockroach human, meaning he is almost impossible to kill. And me and
Yeah.
Arda were talking about Mora King at the same time. And we were like, "Yo, what if the final antagonist for Mora King is a cockroach man?"
And he just keeps coming back.
Yeah, he just keeps coming
You
back.
just have to keep fighting him.
That'd be really cool.
I heard people saying that like Mora King could become like the next Dr. Stone in terms of like teaching kids about like insects and shit.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I wonder. I think it has really good art. I think it seems to have good humor. I think it has a lot of potential. It's still way too early to say. I'd say give it another maybe week or two, and we'll kind of see.
Mhm.
What was the third new series starting called? Do we have any idea?
I don't think it's out yet.
Punk Collection?
No,
No,
Bone
after
Collection
Bone
is out
Collection.
Oh, I don't know yet because it's gonna be after Demon Slayer's ended.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought it was going to be this week. I thought it was every
No.
week. Okay. Because obviously, Burn the Witch is going to start soon, and that's going to take up a space for.
Wait,
Something.
is Burn the Witch
is
getting
like
like a full
July.
manga? I thought it was just a one
Yes,
shot.
it's getting a full manga
Oh.
this summer.
It's getting he said it was gonna be a short serialization, so like 20 chapters maybe.
Interesting.
Maybe a year. I could see a year.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff
And,
coming up.
Yeah.
And as we're looking forward, we're also looking in the past with Bleach. It's
Yeah.
a great,
I think-
perfectly balanced.
I completely think Shonen Jump is in a really good place right now.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
every series they have, excluding like these new ones, are all very unique and good in their own ways. I think ever since Samurai 8 and Zipman got dropped,
Zipman
think-
was terrible.
So
We have
mad
a
about
really-
it, man.
we actually have like a really good like
Oh, of
I don't know
course.
family going on right now. Of, like all these series.
This arc that we're on in Bleach right now ends with like volume 8. So I guess
Yeah.
we should
Chapter
next
70 will be
next week.
probably next Thursday. I guess we'll give it a week.
Yeah.
Any last? I guess do you want to end it now to keep going or?
I don't know. Yeah.
I'll just say this. Fuck Hunter x Hunter. Fuck Hunter x Hunter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I said it.
Yourself up for disappointment.
No, okay, I do not want to be a part of this podcast anymore.
Alright, I'll say this. I like Hunter x Hunter. I think the Togashi is a hack. There.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, that's completely fair. That is
Yeah.
completely fair.
I think the nigga
Miura.
with Berserk and fucking Miura and they're both hacks. They just
Did
they
you see
don't.
like the new chapter of Berserk that came out? He didn't even do the artwork for
Yeah.
it.
And it's still on. I guess it's on hiatus. I don't know if it's going to come
It's
out
like-
next
It
month.
is.
Yeah. Yeah,
We've been
it
looking at
hurts
hiatus
being a
charts
Berserk
recently.
fan. It hurts.
It hurts being a bastard fan. You don't want to be a
Yeah.
bastard fan.
Oh yeah, I saw something today. I don't know if it's true or not, but you know how this month's Attack on Titan got delayed? I think next month might be delayed too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Attack on
Jeez.
Titan pod. Yeah, welcome to the Attack on Titan podcast, guys.
Oh, Attack on Titan podcast. That'd be fun.
It's a little slow month.
Yeah.
Oh, Die Dark podcast. All 5 Die Dark readers. Yeah, because Die Dark's really good so far, guys. Go check it out. It's only like 9 chapters.
Okay, maybe
And
I will.
I think the newest chapter got delayed. I don't know.
Everything's getting delayed, man.
Everything got delayed.
It's
Yeah.
really good so far, and I think Q. That's her name, right? That's her name. Q something.
Yeah, I
Okay,
see
Thor.
like you.
When is
Yeah,
Promised Neverland ending?
Hopefully soon.
Because
Sometime
man,
this year.
what a shame that series.
So, what series are ending soon? We got Demon Slayer,
Demon
Promised
Slayer,
Neverland,
Promised Neverland.
Haikyu's ending
Oh,
within
that's right.
this arc,
Yeah.
and the last arc, but I don't know how long it's going to go for.
It's interesting that Demon Slayer is ending so soon. You know.
Yeah, there's so much they can do with it, and I guess
Well, I'm happy that the author knows
Yeah.
when to stop. You know.
because I feel like after Muzan, there's still so much potential Demon Slayer could go into, but you know,
But, I mean, it's just crazy that like Demon Slayer has just so recently become a big like cash cow for Shonen
yeah.
Jump, and they're
It's
already
big
ending it.
as big. I would say it's as big as My Hero.
I'm surprised they're like even like letting the author cancel it.
This ties back to Bleach. I think it might be the whole Bleach thing because Bleach they had him do more than he actually wanted to do,
Yeah.
and that really.
I feel like there's gonna be like a Demon Slayer like sequel or something though, or like a
Oh,
spin-off,
definitely.
Like 10 years later with a new cast.
It'd be interesting to see a Demon Slayer sequel in a different time period.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
100 years later. Or
Yeah,
something.
it's just like 100 years later. It's like holy shit.
I can
Okay,
definitely
okay.
see that happening.
I want to talk about A Gravity Boys for a second. Is that getting canceled? I don't
Not
know.
yet.
I'm scared because it's been last place in the rankings. Lately.
Yeah, you know what hasn't been last place though? Chad, Mitama, Security, Busters.
Read me Tama, guys. It's
I
awesome.
have no idea how Mikama's like surviving this.
Because
I have an
it's base, that's how.
I have an idea for something after Bleach. Actually, we could do Gintama.
Oh god, no, that's too long. Too long.
I don't know if we were the anime or the manga.
Too long. I refuse.
Honestly, I think the anime might be better for that one, just because the anime is so.
I think a comedy series wouldn't be like a full-on gag comedy series wouldn't be interesting enough to talk about for an entire podcast.
Oh no, it's
personally.
not a full gag series. It has like serious arcs, serious fights.
Does it really?
Yeah, it just they just come in randomly, and it's like so. The idea with Gintama is it's like this crazy world with this like intriguing backstory. Yeah, about terrorists. Like the main group is literally like a bunch of terrorists, basically half the time. There are serious fights, and these characters have very heartbreaking backstories. The main character Gintoki was a samurai who fought against the Amanto, the aliens that came to the world, and fought back so the world wouldn't be enslaved by them.
If Gintama was like real world, it would be like a comedy about like white supremacists. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. No, well, it's like he's ex-white supremacist just trying to get by on a job, and then his old white supremacist buddies are trying to pull him back into it, and he's like, no, fuck off, no.
Yeah, buddies.
Interesting.
It's really good. I would heavily recommend Gintama if you want something like...
Mm-hmm.
I would say Gintama was like, if we were to say like the big four, I'd say Gintama is like the crackhead cousin of like of the three.
I have an idea on how we can end this. Let's do a plug session. Anything you want to plug? A movie,
hey
a
guys,
show, an
check out
anime,
Dollar
an
Shave
album.
Club.
Dollar Tree Club?
Dollar Shave Club, and don't forget.
Oh my God, no, we're not.
Nord-
No, we're not sponsored by Dollar Shave Club. We're gonna get copyright
Yeah.
infringement for mentioning
Yeah.
them. Bleep that out.
They actually like copyright you for like
Alright,
Probably
I'll
not.
I'll plug something. I'm gonna go over. I'm just get a recommendation for one of my favorite classic Shonen Jump manga of all time, Kinnikuman Man. Absolutely fucking amazing. It's basically Japanese pro wrestling and superheroes.
This might be controversial. but my plug is for something I haven't even played yet. But it is Daymare 1998. Uh, I know the publishers; they're really cool guys, and this game looks really good. It's like a old school tribute to like the 90s Resident Evil games, and it was actually the last game that Paul Haddad, the voice actor for Leon S. Kennedy, did. So I bought it. It's
Oh,
it's like $8 right now, and I'm gonna play it. Might do a video review. It looks like it'll be a good time.
My
discuss it next time.
my recommendation is this upcoming game called Last of Us Part Two. No,
In
no.
there, cut
No,
it there.
hey,
Cut
hey,
it there.
no, we
Yeah.
can't actually plug that because I'm pretty sure
Oh
most of
yeah,
our
no
lit.
copy strike.
Oh shit, cut this out, cut this out.
Well, it's that, but it's also that like most of our uh all two
Loyal
people that'll
members,
listen to this are probably gonna be misogynistic,
racist and
racist
homophobic.
bigots, and
Yeah,
they're not supposed to
yeah,
play this game. So
yeah. But yeah,
Little
I don't know.
balls
I
gonna
guess
start quivering.
I guess play I the Somnium Files. It's my favorite game ever made. It's
Yeah,
good.
go ahead and say your favorite game ever made. Recommend a game right now. I'd say go play Yakuza 5. It's like way better than Yakuza 0. I said it. Fuck you.
that's not fair. I didn't get to recommend. I recommended a game, but it wasn't my
Yeah.
favorite one.
Okay, name your favorite game. Man.
No one wants to play my favorite games because they're old and
Okay, Zach.
janky.
Fifth Award or no freaking fucking Silver Case or whatever.
Oh my god, I love Silver Case. Actually, okay, so I'm okay. Here's a self plug. I'm doing my first video game video review. It is for the card.
Essay.
It is for the card game Neoverse, which is Slay the Spire with anime titties, because that's what Slay the
Yeah.
Spire was missing. It's pretty good actually. It has some jank, but I like games with jank. And I'm thinking for my like channel like outro video, because you know you're not a made YouTuber unless you have an outro. I
Yeah.
want to model it after the outro for the missions in the silver case, and no one's gonna
Well,
get it because no one plays that game because it's obtuse and weird.
It alright. It alright.
I own that shit physically. I
It's
need
tasteless and
to play it.
lukewarm.
Oh, actually, speaking of like obtuse point and clicks, I wanted to bring this up going back to Bleach. Um, Something that like the way, because when you were talking about the way that the Shinigami operate as like an actual business, it reminded me of one of my top 10 favorite games ever, Grim Fandango.
Ooh, yeah. I actually just reminded of that today.
Because it's the same thing as that. Because with Grim Fandango, you have these like Grim Reapers, but they're very bureaucratic. They have like clients, they have quotas they need to fill. There's promotions, and the whole idea is it's based off of the I believe the Aztec belief of the land of the dead. So what happens is like the souls go to the land of the dead, but they need to be contracted by one of the Grim Reapers to get a travel package in order to go to the afterlife. So they can negotiate for a better travel package based on how well their life lived. So if they're really good, they get a train ticket that takes them 4 minutes. But if they're super shitty, they just get a walking stick and it takes them 4 years.
Wait, Yakuza 4 ripped that off. Akiyama freaking just ripped that character off.
Wait. Okay, I just gotta remind some other things from Bleach real quick.
Okay.
When the scene with like where the gates of hell open up.
Mhm.
Oh
That's
yeah,
Yeah.
that scene was awesome. I want to know who that guy is. I really want to. I have a feeling we'll probably will see that
I'm
guy.
sure we
The
will,
Hell
yeah.
Gatekeeper, yeah.
Dude, that was actually one
Also,
of the best parts.
another thing that I just like didn't really think about much when I read it, but like it just kind of like hit me like 12 hours later. Is the stuffed animal that they stuffed the monster
Oh,
in.
Con.
They just found, yeah, they just found it on the side of the road.
Yeah, they're waiting for a cat to get fucking.
Yeah,
killed.
I loved that. That was such a funny gag. That
They
the fact that it doesn't even need to be a living body for the mod to live in.
I like the detail of when it was raining really hard and he soaked up
Yeah,
all
he
the
he couldn't
water.
walk.
Couldn't
That
even-
was great.
I think that's a really cute little
You know,
detail.
every manga has to have its funny animal mascot, and this
Yeah,
one's
it's just
interesting because
funny.
it's just a stuffed animal.
Naruto have one?
Uh,
No?
Yeah, Naruto.
Oh yeah, Naruto. Yeah, he's a fox.
Yeah, Kurama or whatever his name was. Yeah. Gintama's was Sadaharu,
Was
the
it
shield, their dog. Boba Bo's was Don Patch. Also, everyone go. Oh yeah,
Bobobo, wonderful.
I want to say something about Bobo real quick. If you guys have always wanted to get into Bobo, other than the anime, Manga Dex almost has all of the original Bobo up. They're only missing about 24 chapters.
Don't show for illegal services.
No. Who is gonna translate Bobo? Who is actually gonna go out of their way and officially translate Bobo legally? Okay.
Wait,
I was gonna say this,
was the manga never translated?
the first 7 volumes were, and they gave up.
All right, that's fair game then.
So what's going on is basically a group's been finally finishing it up. There's a sequel series to Bobo that was 75-ish chapters that is also already fully translated. So if you want to Bobo, keep an eye on it for the next few months. I guess I'll recommend any other series I'm reading. Baki. I have currently been watching through Baki because I've gotten to some stuff that hasn't.
Netflix is not paying us. Netflix is not paying us.
Oh no, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about that Baki. I'm talking about early 2000s Baki.
Oh, okay.
So, the idea of Baki is the first part of Baki has never been officially translated in the West. Only the first half of the manga has been unofficially translated for part 1. But the second half, the Maximum Tournament, still hasn't been translated, so you have to sit through the shitty early 2000s anime to get through it. It's been a drag. There's some cool fights, but God.
So it's like the silver case.
Basically. One day it'll be translated. One day.
Well,
Not anytime soon.
Silver case took 18 years to get translated?
Yeah, Baki's in 30.
Oh wow, I didn't even know it was that old.
So part 2 has been officially translated. I think part 2 and part 3 are officially translated, but part 1 just never got officially translated. They just skipped out on it for some reason.
Okay, this is long gone a Bleach podcast now. Yeah. We're getting into the Shonen Jump one, so maybe we should end it here.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, signing off. This is Real Human Being. Please do not call me the Stinky Man. I will diarrhea fart all over your face.
Say the line. Say the line, Bart.
No.
Bye. I'm Sloppy Joe, and I'm slopping it up. I'm gonna have to work on that.
Yeah.